Guys, today's my last day with the 1SS 1LE. This car is actually going to be picked up shortly here. And I just kind of wanted to offer you some of my final thoughts and how I feel about this car. I did the original video with me sitting in the car when I just got the car and told you about it. And I thought that would be kind of a good closure for this vehicle as well. I've had a blast with this car. I've had a blast with this car. This car has given me just everything that I've wanted out of a car. I've built some great friendships with some really good people. You know, I've driven with a lot of just cool people and people that just enjoy these cars, and I'm really grateful for that. And I think that's why it's so hard for me to leave this car. It performs excellently. It sounds good. I just am at a opportunity that allows me to exit this car and get into something else in a way that I think would still benefit me and not really pull me down with it financially too much. So that's kind of why I'm on this take right now. Now my final thoughts on this car is it's perfect for what exactly it is. For the money, you can't beat it. For the handling, for everything, you cannot beat it. It's a showstopper. People stop and talk to you about it all the time. You get compliments. You know, my interior is perfect. The car is really just very good quality overall. Everything is taken care of. You know, I've put a lot of time and attention into this car, so if there was anything like even remotely wrong, I would take care of it right away, and there never was. It was just a lot of good cleaning and just general maintenance. In the time that I had this car, in the 20,000 miles in 2 years to the date almost, I've replaced the differential fluid 3 times. I used 0W40 Dexos 2 Mobile 1 about every 4,000 to 5,000 miles, just depending on the kind of the condition. You know, I've bled my brakes myself as well as a performance shop multiple times. This is my take on this. We're at a forefront where these cars are going to be dying in the next 2-3 years, and it's really 2 years, give or take, depending on how the model year and things. And Dodge is on the same track, and you know Mustang is going to come around and act the real Mustang soon. So this is my take on this. If you want one of these cars and you want a 2SS, but the 1SS is all you need, save up the little extra dough and get the 2SS 1LE, because you don't want. You know, these are the final cars. That's it. And if you could buy a used one later that's been all like, you know, touched and fingered and everything by a bunch of dudes, you know, slammed in the back of the alleys by a bunch of guys or something, or you could get one that's like brand new still. So that's up to you and what you see in your future and how much you can financially afford things. But if you can afford it, get the 2SS if that's what you want. The 1SS is perfect with it is. It has leather in the back. It has everything like you need, plus a little bit more. The heads-up display. But, you know, there is things that are lacking that'll make you want a little bit more. And those things kind of come out in a car when you're unhappy with it, or when things happen, or, you know, you start having problems with the car or something like that. You start thinking to yourself, well, I wanted these other things anyways, and it's not giving me that. Well, that happens. That happens to everybody. But my final take on this car is, if you can buy one, I would highly encourage you to do it. It's better than a Mustang. I've owned Mustangs, and it's depending on what you use it for, but performance-wise, enjoyment, smiles per miles, I think the Camaros are way better cars. In my experience of owning 3 Mustangs, 2 of which were GTs, and these are really good cars. These Camaros are great cars. Now, the 1SS kind of lacks some things that I didn't like, and I put those in there. I put the door sills in there. I put the leather on the knee pads. You know, I had a few other things that I kind of stole from the 2SS to put on this car, and it made it pretty much right where it wanted to be. Now, I do like the lighting, guys. I like the lighting on the door. I'm a tech geek, dude. I'm a network engineer. I pull apart things just to look at how they work. Like, I like LEDs. And that's something I always wanted. And one of my friends went through and installed the LEDs with a dealership and bought it and went through the whole route. And, you know, he's got the LEDs in his car, but he can't change the colors of them through the dash, which kind of sucks. But it's still very cool and looks very good. So my final thoughts are, if you want to get a 2SS, get the 2SS and save up and get that, because you don't this car offers so much as it is, but you throw in those extra little bits and you're fully loaded to the brim, like you're really gonna enjoy that. Be prepared for tire cost. If you run these cars hard, you're gonna have to pay for tires. I didn't really have a problem with that, but it's an aspect you are gonna have to realize these tires are not cheap. So to kind of clean up my final thoughts on the 1SS, 1LE Camaros, 2SS 1LE Camaros, any 1LE Camaros, go ahead and get one of these cars. They're magnificent. I don't have a huge amount of confidence in GM as a company, and I never really have. Um, they've done a lot of kind of unfair practices and kind of shady practices in the past. I mean, Volkswagen has as well. We know all companies do this kind of stuff. GM seems to do it in a different fashion, and I'm kind of put off a little bit by this situation, especially with GM and how much I went through with even their corporate and how many people along the way in every single tier just did not give a shit about anything that the end customer has. So I know you guys, some people out there have had better experiences and stuff like that, and people be like, well, I heard about on the forums this guy had his engine replaced and it was on the track and this, and yeah, that does happen, but I wonder how much of that we're actually just recycling. I wonder how much of that situation we just keep recycling it to each other to where it sounds more common than it really is. Because I know people that have, been modded, and obviously GM doesn't cover that. Most manufacturers wouldn't. Uh, but I know a few people have had to go down the lemon law attorney as well because GM wasn't working with them, even when they had like blown engines. So it's just that's off-putting. That's off-putting, and it sucks because this is a really good car, and I can see why people would not want to buy these cars and not want to buy a GM vehicle when I like GM vehicles. I like Chevys. I always have. I like their style. I like what they do. I like what they present. I like their power, the sound. Um, I like buying American vehicles in that regard, especially with the sizing for myself and everything. But I can understand why people shy away from the manufacturer, and it's because it leaves a really kind of bad taste in your mouth if you have to go down that route. Now, if you don't, cool. If you're happy about just doing everything on yourself and you end up not having any problems, that is awesome, and that's probably the majority of people do not have problems with these cars. I say these are really good cars. And, even through Consumer Reports and everything, they say you don't have many problems, but when you do have problems, they're really expensive with these cars. So they rate them a little bit low, but they typically rate them low for stupid things like visibility and things that have never bothered me. This cabin is a little claustrophobic, I could say. But I think maybe just a sunroof would fix that. And it doesn't bother me. I like smaller cars. I like tight cars. They're just you don't need that much room in the car for really much of anything else. So my final thoughts are: this is a great car. I'm really happy with it, and I'm just sitting here in the parking lot for like the past 30 or 40 minutes, like enjoying these Recaros and just kind of like reliving in my mind all the experiences that I had with this car and the things that like I felt and I saw while I was driving this. And yeah, got a lot of video footage of it. My stepdaughter kind of filmed the first startup after I put the Borla on. So that's something. And I gotta return why I bought this car. I bought this car because it was red and it reminded me of my dad and the memories kind of he passed on me. And I think I did that for her as well, to some degree. At least I like to think so. Yeah. I know, guys, it's just a car. I know. I know. You know, even more significantly, it was kind of like I drove this car during COVID, during like lockdown when there was like nobody on the freeways, and I was just driving this car. And it just felt cool, and like I wasn't even supposed to be out and about kind of like feeling, and I got to drive this during it. You know, it was my escape. It was my escape from the reality that we all had to face that year and the next year and so on. So, you know, somebody that buys this car gets a really well taken care of car. Gonna be really happy about that. Anyways, guys, this is Hot One Ellie, and I'm not gonna be gone. This channel continues, so please keep liking, please keep subbing. I'll bring you something else I think you might like. Thank you. From my heart, dudes. Thank you.